Let us begin part 2 of the video, that is partograph. So partograph is actually graphical representation of labor. So actually what we represent in this type of graph is we just represent the labor. Okay, so just represent labor. So what is going on in the labor, what is going on to the fetus, what is going on in the mother, so that we are going to understand by this. So it is clinically most used type and the clinically most used type is WHO modified partograph. So WHO modified partograph is the most commonly clinically used. So based on the following principles, let us see it. So first is the latent phase is not represented here. Okay, no latent phase here. This is the first point. And second point is the active phase begins at 4 centimeter dilation of cervix. Okay, so already we discussed, according to WHO, active phase will begin at 4 centimeters, but in clinically you will see it will begin at 6 centimeters. Okay, now coming to minimum rate of cervical dilation in active phase is 1 centimeter per hour. So in active phase 1 centimeter per hour cervix will dilate. Okay, so this is a normal conditions which we need to see. And next, coming to two parallel lines, that are the alert line and action line are present. Okay, so time duration between them is 4 hours. So I'll show that, you will understand then clearly. So let me draw a partograph now for an example. So this is how a partograph looks. There are two parallel lines, as I said. This is called as alert line and this is called as action line. So between this alert line and action line, if you see the time period, it will be about 4 hours difference. Okay, so actually here on y-axis, this is x-axis. Okay, so on y-axis we are going to take the dilation of cervix in centimeters. Okay, so here we are going to take 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, okay, 9 10. So on y-axis we are going to take all the dilation cervix centimeters, and on x-axis we are going to take the time. So you are going to take dilation, here we are going to take the time. So let us write 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, okay, 10 11 12, so on. Okay, so one thing which you need to remember, that the alert line will always begin from 4 centimeters, because we already discussed here 4 centimeters, that is active phase. The active phase begins by dilation of cervix from 4 centimeters. So from here we will draw the alert line and we will take it up to 10 centimeters. This is 10 centimeters, right? So we'll take it up till 10 centimeters, and here from 4 hours you will start drawing action line, because we discussed that between alert line and action line there should be 4 hours of difference. So 1 2 3 4 hours of difference is present. So from here we'll start the action line, and action line will extend up till 10 centimeters of dilation. Why we are taking till 10 centimeters? Because we know that cervix have maximum dilation of 10, right? And one thing you need to remember, that between this alert line and action line there is 4 hours not only difference in the time, there's also there should be difference between the action line also, that is from 4 we are taken right here time, and action line ends by 10 hours. Sorry, till here is the 10 hours. So it will end here. So this is the alert line and action line. And alert line, as we said, it will start from 4 hours, and you can see here action line will also begin from 4 centimeters cervix dilation, right? So this is how the parthogram looks. If I take some examples, you will understand clearly. So what are the components of parthogram? So if you can see here, this is the actual parthogram, how it looks. So the topmost part, this is the topmost part of the parthogram, which mainly shows the fetal heart conditions. So you can see this is the fetal heart rate. So the middle part shows actually the cervical dilation with time. Let me show that. So actually this is the middle part of parthogram. So this is the bottom part of pathogram, which shows maternal condition like contractions. So now let us start with the uppermost part of pathogram. So as I shown just now, there will be some fetal heart rate graph like this. So in the uppermost part, the patient details and obstetric history of patient are also filled, and fetal heart rate is monitored for every 30 minutes. So fetal heart rate monitored for every 30 minutes. You will take the fetal heart rate and it is noted in a partograph. Okay, so now coming to fetal heart rate, it is represented by a dot. Actually here like this dots will be present, so by this you can guess the fetal heart rate. Normal heart rate, fetal heart rate is 110 to 160 beats per minute, and each square represents 30 minutes. Actually in the pathogram, if you see, there are like squares, right? So this each square represents 30 minutes. Now coming to amniotic fluid status. Amniotic fluid status is also given in a parthogram. Below this heart rate, like this, you will have some boxes, and there you will be having about amniotic fluid status. There it will be written like I. I means membranes are intact. Okay, and there will be written like amniotic fluid is absent, or if C means clear fluid. Okay, if M means meconium stain, like this. There are many signs of amniotic fluid status. About them also they'll mention. Okay, and the time at which the rupture of membrane occurs is also noted there. And the rupture of membrane, either it's spontaneous, that is also noted. Okay, next coming to molding. About molding also they'll discuss like overlapping of fetal skull bones. Already 3 grades are present in molding. Already we discussed this in previous video, like if grade 0 normal skull, grade 1 skull bones are touching each other, grade 2 they are touching, overlapping, but they can be separated, but grade 3 they will overlap and also can't be separated. About this I discussed, so I am saying just roughly. So some degree of molding is normal in labor, but molding plus slow progression, this is important. If there is molding and also there is slow progression of labor. Slow progression means, I will say that slow progression means if if you plot a diagram of a patient, if it is between alert line and action line, then you call it as slow progression. So if molding and slow progression both are present, then it is an indication for cephalopelvic disproportion. About this also we discussed. That is the head, everything is normal here, but for the baby only the pelvis, that kind of pelvis in the mother is shorter for her. So that is called cephalopelvic disproportion. So whenever there is molding and also slow progression, then it will lead to CPD. So slow progression of labor, what is this? Slow progression of labor is the cervical dilation is less than 1 centimeter per hour. Normally it should be 1 centimeter per hour, but if it is less than 1 centimeter per hour, then it is called slow progression. So now coming to middle part of pathogram, as we are drawn like this only, it may look the middle part. In the middle part, the plotting should always begin from the active phase. Okay, that is from 4 centimeters of dilation, always it should begin. And the latent phase is not included in the middle part of modified WHO pathograph. Each square on x-axis, this is x-axis, right? There are many squares here, so each square on x-axis represents the time in hours, and each square corresponds to 1 hour. So here you can see from 1 to 2 there will be 1 square, from 2 to 3 1 square, so this represents 1 hour. Each square represents 1 hour, and each square in y-axis corresponds to dilation of cervix, we know already. Okay, so it represents the dilation of cervix on y-axis, and each square corresponds to 1 centimeter dilation. So here it represents 1 centimeter dilation, here it represents 1 hour of time difference. Now coming to the time duration between alert line and action line is 4 hours. We already discussed this point. Okay, so the alert line is plotted based on the principle that in active phase the minimum dilation of cervix is 1 centimeter apart per hour. Okay, per vaginal examination during labor is done every 4 hours. This is important. Per vaginal examination is done for every 4 hours. Okay, especially during labor. Next, coming to first plotting. The first plotting should be always done on the alert line. If the progress of patient lies over the alert line or towards the left of the alert line, then it is normal. For example, you have got a patient and they're saying that her uterine contractions are 5. So 5, then 5 at 2 o'clock for example, then you will draw a line like this and you will mix at 5, then you'll get your plotting here. Okay, and they are saying at 4 p.m. her uterine contraction are 8. So for example, you got a line like this. Okay, you are marking now for your patient. Then they are saying that you can see here markings are on the alert line, or if the markings are back of alert line, like towards the left of alert line, then you can say this patient is normal. But if your markings are between the alert line and action line, like this for example, if your markings are like this, then you will say the patient is having slow progress. But if your markings are beyond the action line, that is towards the right side of action line, then if your markings are like this, then you will see this patient is abnormal. Okay, so about that also I will say saying now. Okay, so the plotting should be done over the alert line. If the progress of patient lies over the alert line or towards the left of alert line, it's normal. But if the progress of patient is between the alert and action line, slow process. Okay, so you should refer the patient to higher center if you are in a primary center. But if you're already in higher center, then keep monitoring if it is between the alert line and action line. Okay, so if the progress of patient touches the action line and lies in the right of action line, then the action is needed. Not always to do cesarean section, but it depends according to the cause. Okay, so now coming to the dots which marked indicates the descent of fetus. Actually sometimes here on the lower side there will be like this some dots, and this will represent the descent of fetal head. Okay, and this is like, but it's no longer needed, no longer marked, it's not so important. The progress of patient is normal in this partograph as it presents. Okay, as we discussed this case, it's on left side, so it's a normal. Now coming to bottom of pathograph. So bottom of pathograph, the contractions which are happening in the uterus. So for example, let me draw this. This is the bottom of pathogram. Think it like that. Okay, so contractions which are happening in the uterus is marked here for 10 minutes. So for every 10 minutes, what contractions are going on uterus, those are marked here. Counting of contractions is done by placing the hand on the fundus of uterus of mother for every 30 minutes for 10 minutes. So for every 30 minutes, you'll put hand on fundus and just you'll find out. Okay, so counting of contractions is done by placing hand on the fundus of uterus for every 30 minutes for 10 minutes. Each square represents one contraction. Here each square like this, there will be squares like this, and each square represents one contraction in uterus. If this in this one contraction, if the duration is less than 20 seconds, that contraction is less than 20 seconds, then you will draw a dotted square like this. Okay, and if the contraction is between 20 to 40 seconds, then you will do a diagonal line square. So like this, not here, here diagonal line. So this all will be dotted. This is diagonal line square like this you will draw. Okay, and if your contraction is greater than 40 seconds, then you will do a square with solid coloring like this. You will completely cover the square in a dark color. Okay, so this thing you need to observe. Now coming to amount of oxytocin administered and any of the drugs are given, then IV fluids given, temperature and urine proteins, acetone measured are mentioned in bottom. So along with the bottom of not only about contraction of uterus, any amount of oxytocin you are given, or any IV fluids you are given, or what is the temperature, what are the urine proteins, acetone measured, all these are also mentioned in the bottom of the pathograph. Okay, so now coming to another pathograph that is called as WHO Simplified Pathograph. So WHO Simplified Pathograph is actually, it is divided into 3 colors like this. This color is actually here green, this color is actually amber, and this color is actually red here. So they mentioned as A, B, C, and this is the alert line, and this is the action line here. Okay, So now let us see, this is simplified. Each zone is represented by different colors. Alert line and action line is present here, but they are not specifically marked. Okay, so if the progress is in green color, then it is normal, of course we know. And if the progress is in amber color, then it is a slow progress. If it is in red color, then it is action is needed. So red, somewhat like danger, so action is needed. Amber color, slow progress. Green means it's normal. Okay, so the first pathograph, actually who found the pathograph? The first pathograph was found by Friedman curve, that is called as curve, not pathograph. Okay, so this is actually, here they also use the latent phase. Here also the latent phase is present, but in present, but in our normal pathograph which we use now, WHO modified, there the pathograph is not present, where the latent phase is not marked, but here the latent phase is marked. And here the active phase will begin at 3 centimeters. Normally active phase will begin at 4 centimeters, but here it will begin at 3 centimeters. And active phase is further divided into 3 stages. That is, the first stage is called accelerative phase, second stage is called the phase of maximum slope, and the third one is called decelerative phase. And remember that there is no alert or action line, no alert or action line here in the case of this Friedman curve. Let me show this. Can you see this curve here? This is called as Friedman curve. Here you can see this is the latent phase, which is low, like about 1 to 2 centimeters in that range. And you can see this is the accelerative phase, which is it is starting from 3 centimeters, and next it is another phase. Next it is, this is how it looks, Friedman's curve. So you have seen that in the older curves, like in Friedman curve, you have seen there is no latent phase, or like there are no alert or action lines. Then who found them? So alert and action lines are actually found by Philpott and Castle. So these names you need to remember. So by this we have completed the stages of labor in pathogram. Next we'll start with abnormal labor.